Hello, my name is Zachariah Van Sliders with Old Man Gaming, and you have decided to tune in to another horrible game review. As usual, got to do the disclaimers. I'm a house dad. I do this as much as I possibly can, but who knows what's in store and how much editing I can actually do of this, so keep that in mind. Segueing right into our next disclaimer. I don't get a ton of time with these reviews usually. This is kind of more like a snap judgment of the game, kind of this is what I saw from the amount of hours that I got with it. Though I will say this one I've got plenty of. Number three, I do not give scored reviews. I don't believe in scored reviews for video games. I think they're one of the most subjective forms of art. So with that in mind, you will get a overview of what I am reviewing. The pros and the cons from my point of view, as all reviews are, and then whether or not I'm going to stick with it, the item that I am reviewing, past the actual review itself. So what am I reviewing today, you might ask? I'm going to say another event from Borderlands 3, Revenge of the Cartels. And now you're probably asking, you're doing another review on Borderlands 3? And keeping with our true mission statement of transparency, yes, I am, because you guys click for Borderlands 3. So as long as you guys keep giving Borderlands 3 the most views, we're going to have to keep doing everything we possibly can with it. So, in the interest of that, which I guess is in a way selling out, but at least we're honest about it, here we go with a review for the event, Revenge of the Cartels. This last Thursday, it kicked off. What is Revenge of the Cartels? Well, for Borderlands 3, it is an event, a seasonal event. It will be running from last Thursday till June 6th. So it's going to go six weeks, I believe. And what does it entail? Well, you speak with Maurice again, the weird talking Saurian. I'm not going to give you spoilers, but he sets you out on taking on cartels. Now, if you have enabled the event on your main menu, cartel agents will show up wherever you are, and you'll have to fight them. They're a little bit stronger. They have a little bit more properties to them. They usually have kind of like neon lights going with like a theme of like 80s cop shows and stuff. So you take them out, then they end up triangulating you this kind of like piece of hardware that you get 14 of them, and then basically you return to Maurice. He opens a portal much like the Bloody Harvest one back in October. You head through the portal into a special map, which is the cartel home base, which you'll be seeing a lot of in the actual footage of the review. And then you go through it and take out a new boss, a couple of new bosses actually. So, I mean, as far as overviews go, that's it. There's a few more guns that have come with this, some new bad guys, obviously. And now we got to really, we got to compare this to Bloody Harvest. I know that a lot of people Bloody Harvest rubbed the wrong way, but if Bloody Harvest had came out today with the feature of enabling the events or turning it on or off, Bloody Harvest would not have been as hated as it ended up being, because, you know, the skulls would get in the way and it would mess with people and mess with their play styles and stuff, and really just mess with everything overall. And you couldn't turn it off back then. But again, I was very happy with Bloody Harvest. My review of it is positive, and I'm standing by it. While it did get long and a little ridiculous, if you could have turned it off, it would have been perfect, and it would have been actually kind of, in my opinion, a shining star among seasonal events content in video games like this. It was something that when it dropped, it changed the meta of the game for the time that it was active, which I don't think a lot of seasonal events can say that. It changed the way you approach situations, and I really enjoyed that. They made a couple of tweaks and kind of breathed some new life into it. So now the question is, did Revenge of the Cartels do that? Well, I think Revenge of the Cartels did really good. I think that they took a lot that worked from the Bloody Harvest, and they took a lot of things that they felt didn't work from the Bloody Harvest, and they implemented it in this one. In some ways, though, I actually think they got a little too cautious. But this is all for the pros and cons, so let's get into it. Pros and cons. Pros. This is content for Borderlands 3, something that the game is sorely missing. That we need regular content updates like this, and I know everybody's like very hungry for a new takedown, and we should have gotten a new takedown by now. But in lieu of this, this is a new map with some new renderings of some old enemies, some new kind of like situational stuff on them. So it's new content, it's new boss, it's a new map to fight through, and that's something that really helps the game anytime we get something like that. Because as we've said on this channel many times, grinding is not content, and it's nice to actually see content instead of just, hey, here's more reasons to grind, which I think is a big mistake that Borderlands 3 has been making over the course of the game's lifespan. Pro number 2, the level design of the content. I just want to get into this really quickly. While I enjoyed Bloody Harvest, I thought it was great. The level content was very basic in my opinion, and not really special to me in any way, shape, or form. However, this one really is. I love the attention to detail on it. Fighting through the villa that you end up fighting through, kind of like, it's like a Scarface kind of homage, is really cool. A lot of the scenery actually is all like white marble, and it actually chips off when you shoot at it, and you take chunks out, kind of giving you that Matrix lobby feel. And it's just really cool. Just the entire scenery, the place to fight, the way you fight, and the bad guys that you take on is really cool. I very much enjoyed the actual map that you go through to fight it. And again, just moving off that into my next pro, a lot of the bad guys, they're really taking the cues from the bad guys of like the last DLC and the takedown, and they're making them a lot more interesting to fight. They're not just bullet sponges that you just pump ammo in until they die. You have a lot of tricks to them. I'm not going to ruin it, but the last bad guy has a trick to him, a couple of tricks actually, and then all the mini bosses have a little thing. Usually it's not a big thing, but a couple of little things. One guy, I don't want to say his name, doesn't have a lot of health, but he has like 3 bars of shields. So you really have to have a shock weapon to take him on. Stuff like that, kind of like a puzzle with combat, like almost like a combat puzzle. I love it when they do stuff like this in Borderlands 3, and this game, this little event has a lot in it. This event really stands out against the last one, the Broken Hearts Day event, which was just ridiculous on every level. And it definitely holds its own against Bloody Harvest. However, I'm about to go into the cons. And the cons are going to be based heavily off my comparison from it to Bloody Harvest. So, the big first con is, does it hold up against the Bloody Harvest? Now, I think the design is overall better in like the subject matter. I thought was cooler with the whole mob kind of feel. I like the map a little bit better. But I don't feel like they did enough to kind of like change the meta. I know everybody out there got so sick of the skulls and hated them, but in the first couple of weeks, like, they were really cool to me. I thought they really changed the way you played the game. Like, when you went into a slaughter shaft with that skull mechanism, it just changed how I did everything or thought about the battlefield. So, like, did this change the meta? No. And I think that the reason it didn't change the meta is because everybody hated those skulls by the time you got to that 6-week marker, that Gearbox listened, and they took out anything that could have changed it. So what you end up with are these bad guys who, they're a little bit super powered, they're obviously different looking, but really they're kind of samey. So when you're out fighting them in the field, other than their look and design, they don't really, it doesn't change the meta or the way you're playing the game moment to moment in the field. Again, I know everybody out there is going to disagree with me, but I don't think anybody out there would hate the skulls as much as they did if the ability to turn off the event existed back then. I think the minute you had done it, you would have turned it off and never had to deal with the skull anymore, and you would have come away thinking, wow, that was a really cool mechanism for it. Whereas this one doesn't have any cool mechanism out in the field other than fighting these cartel guys, and they're not really different than the other bad guys. So if I had to pick anything that it's a little bit lackluster in, it was that. I wanted to kind of feel it a little bit different, and And even the Broken Hearts event, as crappy as it was, had something that changed the way it played in the actual game itself. And I think that kind of stuff is needed in this game right now. It's really needed to breathe life into just your normal map grind. And without it, it just feels a little samey. And then you end up running that villa over and over again, and I'm sure people are gonna get sick of it. That's really my only con, though. So let's go to, am I gonna stick with it? So this is going to be a little bit of a longer segment because I have been up and down with Borderlands 3. Anybody who is a long-time viewer of this channel and our Borderlands 3 content has watched both me and Phil kind of have an ebb and flow and an up and down, a love-hate relationship with Borderlands 3 so far. I would actually have to say my up and down with it is a little bit higher and lower than Phil's, as in I've been completely done with this game at times, and I think that their lack of content has really hurt them, and the lack of interesting new things that they've been putting forth has really hurt them. The DLCs were really good, but beyond just doing the story, there's not a lot of reason to go back to it. The takedown is amazing, but they only have one, so you get sick of it really fast. The events, I think the events are cool, but they've also been tainted. The first event, the Halloween event, was tainted by the fact that you couldn't turn it off, so it ended up getting a ton of hate. The Broken Hearts Day event was weak at best, and I felt like just kind of an answer to the no content thing to try and pacify us till the next DLC. And then this event is good, so, I mean, that brings us to this event, which I really like. And interestingly enough, it actually made me start playing another character. Not in itself, but just going and playing this event. This event really reminded me what I loved about this game and what I love about the previous Borderlands. I don't exactly know how to quantify why that is, but it made me start playing another character from the beginning to try and build a new build. So I think that there is something in that. So I will probably be, so as far as sticking with it, it's a hard question because Borderlands 3, like, yeah, I'm going to stick with it. It's Borderlands 3. We do so much of it for the channel. At the same time, though, this event really breathed some life into it for me, and I really hope that we continue to get that out of Gearbox and Borderlands 3. And right now, it doesn't look that way because the roadmap's pretty rough. I mean, we're waiting like sometimes a month and a half for new content to come out. I think for a game like this, with all this farming, we really need, I would rather them release smaller new stuff regularly than wait a full month and release like one thing that's kind of big. Like, I would have rather gotten, like, the DLCs are great. I'm not saying that they're not, but I would rather get constant events like this, constant little takedowns, and I'd rather get them every like 3 or 4 weeks than wait as long as we do to get big content in between. So, alright, so that's it. I don't know if this has been controversial or not. I'm sure you guys will tell me in the comments below, but this has been our review of Revenge of the Cartels. I highly recommend, if you're playing Borderlands 3, to go check it out. And if you haven't played Borderlands 3 in a while because you've been bored of it, this is going to be fun for you for at least a few hours. I'll tell you that right now. So, as usual, tell me in the comments below whether you agree with me, whether you hate me, whether you think I'm stupid. I get all types, and I welcome it all. And you can check us out on Facebook at Old Man Gaming DH. You can also check us out at Old Man Gaming 9 on Twitter. And then please join our Discord. You can influence almost every aspect of our channel. Almost every one of our shows has some sort of mechanism there in Discord where you can go to a chat thread and you can request reviews from me. You can influence the podcast and many other shows. So please join our Discord and talk to us. We love talking to you guys. And then, of course, as long as you guys keep watching and listening to them, I'll just keep on making them. And so will all my buddies. So we'll see you guys next time.